Hi, I'm Cody Waite with Weight Endurance here at Session 6 for Performance, and I'm going to be demonstrating our split stance good morning exercise that is a piece of our stability phase in our base builder strength training program. So this is very much a stability exercise, strengthening and stabilizing the whole posterior chain of our low back, glutes, hamstrings, and getting those muscles activated, strong, and stable. All right, so there's a few different variations of ways to load the good morning exercise. But the underlying theme here is it's a hip hinge, much like a deadlift, where we bend, we hinge at the hips, straightforward like that. So hinging at the hips involves popping this butt back, and then you hinge forward, you load hamstrings, you load a little bit of lower back, a little bit of glutes, and then you squeeze to stand back up. Okay, so that hits the whole posterior chain through a hip hinge type of movement. So good morning exercise is basically just that. It's kind of the simplest form, most basic form of the actual hip hinge motion. So the starting progression here, the easiest way to do this is with a weight plate. Anywhere from a 10, 15, 20, 25 pound weight plate is a good place to start, depending on your abilities. And you're basically going to just hug this guy right here on your chest. This keeps the weight right close to your core and makes it the easiest to kind of just add a little bit of weight to this movement. Now, the one thing I like to do here to make it more cycling specific is adding that split stance piece to the movement. So split stance, we've done this before in some other movements like our bent over row and a few other things, but it's basically taking on the most cycling specific stance that we can get, which is 1 foot forward in front of the other, just a few, I don't know what that is, 6-8 inches apart, so it's kind of a narrower stance. That makes it, requiring more stability, and then split apart in that pedaling position. And again, like with all of the split stance motions, alternate which foot goes forward with the sets that you're doing, just so you stay balanced and you don't end up with some kind of imbalance. All right, so I'm going to just do right foot forward here, hug the weight plate, and I've got soft knees, but they're straight, and then I'm just going to hinge at the hips by popping that butt back, and then hinge, really loading this front hamstring, and then standing back up. And when I stand up, I'm using my low back muscles and my glutes to do so. Okay, so it's pop that butt back, hinge, my back stays flat, and I come back up. So if I were to do a left foot forward, here, athletic stance, hinge, really loading that front hamstring, this time the left side, and then squeezing through my low back and glutes to stand back up. Okay, really good posterior chain strengthener, extremely cycling specific, will really help you on descents and really just overall power production. The next phase, when you're ready to move on to the next heavier way to do it, is using some dumbbells. Okay, so you can go, you really don't need a whole lot of heavy ones, these are just 2 10-pound ones. But it's the same exact idea, but now you're moving the weight a little bit higher up, which is going to kind of, with this fulcrum, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to execute compared to when the weight was more here, okay? So we're up here on our shoulders, taking that split stance, and then it's the same exact movement from here. The dumbbells in your arms stay stationary. You just hinge the hips, load that hamstring, squeeze the glute and low back to stand back up. Okay, it's a fairly difficult movement. If I were to do left foot forward, takes a lot of concentration. Definitely feel it in your hamstrings. If your hamstrings are particularly tight, this could be a limiting factor for you, so really working on some hamstring range of motion, flexibility, mobility would be a good option as well. Then when you're ready, continuing to build strength, obviously you can add heavier dumbbells, but you get to a point where it starts to get a little awkward. Then you move on to the barbell. So I'll demonstrate that fairly quickly here. You're basically going to step under it just much like you're going to do a back squat. Step away from the rig, and then you're going to basically just simply do the good morning split stance with the barbell on your back. So it's the same idea. Twist here a little bit so you can see. Right foot forward, hinging, hips down and up. So quite a bit heavier. Getting a little greater load in that front hamstring, really having to use this quad to stabilize, and then that same left glute to kind of get yourself back up, and a little bit of your low back as well. So we'll switch sides. So this front leg now, the left leg, the hamstring is going to really take the load coming down, and now I'm squeezing that right glute, more so on the right side, to get back up. Okay, so it's a little bit kind of a slightly more awkward movement. You know, a lot of people haven't done this before, especially with that split stance, but it's super, super cycling specific and one of my favorite movements actually. So that's the split stance good morning as part of our stability options of exercises for our base builder strength program. Good luck, have fun.